Welcome to the world of spine-chilling horror. I'm Boris, your guide through the twisted tales that will send shivers down your spine. Gather around as we embark on another journey into the realm of the unknown, where darkness and fear lurk in every corner. In this volume of scary drive stories, we delve even deeper into the macabre and unearth 3 new tales that will haunt your nightmares. Brace yourselves for heart-pounding suspense, hair-raising visuals, and unexpected twists that will leave you questioning what's real and what's not. Story 1. That night will haunt me forever. I was just a teenager, innocently walking home after spending time with friends at the nearby park. The suburban streets were quiet and dimly lit, and I had no idea what horrors lay ahead. Suddenly, a loud screech of tires pierced the silence, followed by a sickening thud. I turned to witness a horrifying scene. A large pickup truck had struck a pedestrian, sending them flying through the air, landing about 20 feet away. But the driver didn't stop there. Without a hint of remorse, they ran over the fallen victim and sped away into the darkness, leaving a trail of devastation behind. Panic surged through me as I reached for my phone, only to realize I'd left it at home. Desperate for help, I ran towards the nearest house and pounded on the door, my heart pounding in my chest. A startled man opened the door, his eyes widening at the sight of a terrified and distraught teenager standing before him. I blurted out what just happened, my words barely coherent through my tears and fear. The man quickly grasped the gravity of the situation and dialed emergency services. As we waited for help to arrive, he offered me comfort, a small beacon of light amidst the darkness of the night. When the flashing lights of ambulances and police cars finally illuminated the street, I felt a mix of relief and sorrow. The injured pedestrian was rushed to the hospital, their fate uncertain. Meanwhile, the driver responsible for the hit and run remained at large, leaving us all with a sense of injustice. The memory of that night stayed with me, driving me to become an advocate for road safety and support for victims of such accidents. I shared my story, hoping that it would serve as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of compassion in times of crisis. That night taught me that kindness can be found even in the darkest moments. The man who opened his door to a frightened stranger demonstrated the power of empathy and human connection. Though haunted by the events, I choose not to be defined by that night. Instead, I channel my experience into making a difference, inspiring others to become more compassionate and vigilant. By sharing my story, I hope to spread awareness and encourage others to extend a helping hand to those in need, even in the darkest of nights. As the first chilling story came to a spine-tingling conclusion, a shiver still ran down my spine. The eerie atmosphere seemed to linger as I prepared to delve into our next bone-chilling tale, one that unfolded on the desolate highways of Colorado. I was on I-70, heading towards Utah, and I decided to pull over at a gas station around 8 p.m. As I fueled up my vehicle, I couldn't help but notice a peculiar scene playing out across the pumps. 2 attractive young women were pumping gas on one side, seemingly unaware of the man in his late 40s on the other side. He was fixated on them, his gaze unnervingly fixed without any awareness of the world around him. Feeling the need to stretch my legs and grab some food for the journey ahead, I stepped into the gas station. But what happened next sent chills down my spine. When I returned outside, both the young women and the older man's truck were nowhere to be seen. Something about the situation felt off. I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was unfolding. Deciding to stay at the gas station for a while to catch a bit of sleep before hitting the road again, I tried to dismiss the strange encounter from my mind. Little did I know that my night was about to take a haunting turn. After several hours of driving, I found myself at another gas station. To my surprise, the young women from earlier were there once again, getting gas and eating at a nearby picnic table. It seemed like they'd been there for quite some time. While I scanned the area, I didn't spot the older man's truck, but I couldn't be certain I was looking hard enough. As the women left, my gaze followed them until their taillights disappeared into the distance. And then, in the adjacent parking lot, I noticed headlights flicker to life. It was him again. The same man who'd been staring at them earlier was back, and something about his presence sent a chill down my spine. As the man and the women departed, I decided to keep my distance and observe the situation from afar. What happened next was a series of chilling coincidences that left me questioning the safety of those young women. The man seemed to follow the women relentlessly, riding their tail with his high beams blinding their rearview mirror. Feeling a growing sense of dread, I stayed a safe distance behind the truck, my heart pounding with each passing minute. The women eventually pulled over, likely trying to shake the relentless pursuer off their trail. To my relief, the truck kept going, and I continued on my way, hoping that the ordeal was over. But my relief was short-lived. Just a mile down the road, the man suddenly pulled off to the side of the highway. An uneasy feeling settled in my gut as I pulled off at a safe distance. Within moments, the young women drove by, and the man was back on their tail like a shadow that refused to let go. Out in the desolate expanse of nowhere, my mind couldn't help but recall scenes from horror movies that started in a similar fashion. The coincidences were too many to ignore, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at play. Relying on my gut feeling, I made a crucial decision. I called the cops to alert them to the unsettling situation unfolding on the desolate highway. The minutes that followed felt like an eternity, as I anxiously awaited the arrival of the authorities. Finally, the flashing lights of the police car illuminated the darkened road as they pulled the man over. The tension in the air was palpable, and my heart seemed to race in sync with the spinning police lights. I might have felt like I overreacted, or that it was all a coincidence, but I firmly believe that being cautious and alert in such situations is essential. The line between fiction and reality can blur, and when lives are potentially at stake, it's always better to be safe than sorry. This haunting encounter on the desolate highways of Colorado will forever serve as a reminder that darkness can lurk where we least expect it, and sometimes our intuition is our most powerful ally. The unnerving events of that night will stay with me, a chilling testament to the fact that not all horror stories begin on a movie screen. As the second story came to a close, let's move to our final story and see what more dangers might be lurking in the darkness. Now, let me take you back to a night when I dropped off my girlfriend after watching The Mothman Prophecies. The movie wasn't the scariest, but it left a lingering sense of unease. As I headed home, I found myself on the desolate stretch of the interstate. A dark curve loomed ahead, devoid of any comforting streetlights, and the eerie silence added to the sense of foreboding. It was about 3 a.m., and the emptiness of the road amplified the darkness around me. Just as I came around the bend, something caught my eye. A figure dressed in a black trench coat walking alongside the road. My heart skipped a beat, startled by the unexpected sight. As my car's headlights illuminated the figure, he abruptly turned towards me. In that fleeting moment, our eyes locked, and a chilling sensation washed over me. I couldn't explain it, but his gaze seemed to pierce through my soul, leaving me unnerved and anxious. The encounter lasted no more than a couple of seconds, but those brief moments felt like an eternity. My heart pounded in my throat as I continued down the darkened stretch of the interstate. It might not have been a paranormal experience, but the fear and uncertainty it evoked were enough to send shivers down my spine. As I reached the safety of my home, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, as if an unseen presence lingered in the shadows. That night, the ordinary stretch of road became a haunting reminder that sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't explain. As the dawn broke, the fear from that night may have subsided, but the memory of that unsettling encounter remained etched in my mind. It serves as a stark reminder that darkness can hide even in the most mundane of places, and sometimes the most terrifying experiences are the ones that leave us questioning what lies beyond our understanding. Dive into darkness with Call Me Horror. Subscribe now for bone-chilling tales, eerie encounters, and spine-tingling mysteries. Don't miss our upcoming volumes of terror. The unknown awaits. Hit subscribe and join the horror community for a scream-worthy time. Stay terrified, stay thrilled, and stay haunted.